All right, welcome to a bit of a longer form reaction video to the Chicago Bears versus Los Angeles Rams matchup, divisional round matchup for the 2025 season playoffs, uh, held in Chicago, late night, snowy game in Chicago. Great looking weather for it. Was a great watch party, but unfortunately for the Bears and for us Bears fans, this magical uh, cardiac Bears season has come to a close. The Rams come out with the win by a score of 20-17. Now going into this game, and if you watched my predictions video for the entire divisional round weekend, you'll know my predicted score for this game had been Rams winning by a score of 24-20. So I ended up being pretty close, unfortunately, just a little bit high on the overall score. Ended up being a slightly lower scoring game, but that meant I ended up being correct on the spread. I did have the Bears covering the spread of 4.5, which they did. I had the Rams winning it, which they did, and the over under had been at, I believe it was 48.5. I had taken the under there, and we did get the under. So I was at least right about the outcome of the game. Not really happy that I was right about it in that sense, but just to go over a little bit more thoughts on this game. Um, of course, started out, really going toe to toe, Bears Rams. Uh, both sides fought pretty evenly. I know the Rams, they came out on their opening drive, didn't really do what they wanted to. Um, well, yeah, didn't really do what they wanted to in some drives early in the game. Sean Payton mentioned that in his post game presser. But for both sides, had some offensive drives that didn't go quite the way you'd want. Both teams' defenses stepped up. The Rams' defense, to their credit, getting 3 interceptions off of Caleb Williams. So 3 turnovers create 3 takeaways for the Rams, 0 takeaways, unfortunately, for the Bears in a season where the Bears have been, led the league in takeaways all season, led the league in interceptions. But to the Bears defense, to their credit, though, of course, coming into this game, the Bears defense was the main part of the Bears that got attacked and got used as the reason to doubt the Bears in this game. And to some extent, for fair reason. I do think certainly this offseason, the area I do expect the Bears will likely hard focus on will likely be the front seven of the defense for the Bears. The Bears do have some great players there, don't get me wrong, but if you're to find a area of weakness for this team, and especially an area that the team didn't necessarily focus on going into 2025. 2025, the offseason before really was about bringing in Ben Johnson and bringing in anything on offense that he and Ryan Poles, anything that they felt was going to help that offense and Caleb Williams grow, that was what they focused on. When they hired Dennis Allen this offseason, they talked about it on the broadcast tonight with NBC. Mike Tirico brought this up. He and Chris Collinsworth brought it up that, you know, talking with the Bears organization, they really did bring in Dennis Allen. And to know this shouldn't have been too much surprise if you followed the Bears offseason, but they really didn't invest much in the defense this offseason. It was very much about building up, especially the offensive line. They through trades and through free agency brought in great offensive linemen, including, of course, Joe Tooney, but that also includes Jonah Jackson, or Drew Dahlman. And so, a lot of investment there. The first round draft pick was on Colson Loveland. Second or third round pick was on Luther Burden. Uh, all moves that have panned out and been really great for the Bears. The offense very much improved, but for the defense, and to the credit of Dennis Allen, they really did bring in Dennis Allen as the coordinator this year with the idea of, hey, we're going to bring you in, but you're going to have to kind of make do with what we have on defense. We're really not going to be putting that much of an investment into the defense this offseason. So that's what they did in 2025. So I do very much as we go into this 2026 offseason, I would be very surprised if the Bears do not, number one, focus on the front seven of the Bears defense. It's a part of the defense that has struggled the most. The Bears have not been able to get, not had a great pressure rate, not great sack numbers on quarterbacks this year. Again, some great players up there, including Montez Sweat, but they do need a little bit of help up there. There have been games this season, including tonight, where the run game worked pretty well against the Bears defense. And again, though, in this game, I do want to give credit to this Bears squad. Again, it was really the part of the Bears that was getting, taken apart the most in the national media, local media this week, and really most this season. Even though they have gotten a lot of credit for the takeaways, but leading the takeaway battle and the amount of interceptions this defense had deserves a lot of credit. And yes, they didn't get any takeaways today, unfortunately, against the Rams, but the Bears were going up against the number one offense for yardage and for a lot of other stats against a great veteran quarterback in Matt Stafford, a great offensive play caller in Sean McVay, tons of offensive weapons for the Rams. So, it's okay. It's not, it would have been the Bears did have some chances at some takeaways that didn't end up coming out. But regardless of not getting takeaways, the Bears defense did do a great job tonight. Got to Matt Stafford plenty of times, did get pressure on him, had many plays that were close to takeaways, at least some good deflections and things like that. Some good stands on third down, forcing the Rams to punt on some pretty short yardage situations. I was impressed with the Bears defense tonight, although unfortunately in the end on defense, not able to get it done, not able to keep the Rams out of field goal range, but it came off of a turnover by the Bears offense. And to go over to that side, of course, really for the whole team, the first half, it was honestly, as a Bears fan, it was kind of encouraging just to see going into half 10-10. This Bears team, so many weeks now this year, it's been huge deficits at halftime, going into the fourth quarter, big deficits. And so it was an encouraging sign that this Bears team had managed in the first half to hold the Rams offense to only 10 points and had also been able to match it on offense. So against a also pretty good defense for the Rams, by the way. And so then you go into the third quarter, scoreless third quarter for the two teams, and then fourth quarter, the Rams go down and score, and things started looking pretty dire there towards the end of the game. Inside of 5 minutes, things started looking pretty bad, and then Caleb Williams turned it on, like the Bears always have, week in and week out. Drove down the field, got a touchdown, earned the Bears a chance to get into overtime with only a few seconds left to go in the game. Now there was questioning, of course, with those that I was watching. I know on the internet, even in post game press conferences with Ben Johnson, um, you know, was there consideration by the Bears of going for two rather than going for overtime? Ben Johnson did mention that it, of course, was a consideration. However, I agree with his assessment on what their decision was. Um, I had been rooting for the Bears to just kick the extra point and go into overtime. And the main reason for that having been that today and even some of the more recent weeks, fourth down, some red zone situations, the Bears on offense hadn't been consistent enough at getting fourth downs and things like that, short yardage situations. And so, I was totally down with Ben Johnson's decision to go for the extra point, go into overtime, and try to take care of business there. And it almost worked out for the Bears. You get a good stop on defense, force the Rams to punt, get the ball back. Bears offense was driving, was making good moves. And then, of course, you know, the critical mistake at the end that is going to get analyzed the most from this game will be the interception thrown by Caleb Williams. Of course, Chris Collinsworth tried to analyze it. I'm sure there are still going to be people that are going to blame Caleb on this. And not to place no blame on Caleb. It goes on his stat sheet. It is his interception. He did throw it. But you know, fair criticism maybe on that play for DJ Moore. Uh, it seemed like he wasn't running quite at full speed, a little bit of a jog there towards the end of that route. And also just allowing, a bit of a miscommunication between him and Caleb. Caleb expecting him to look to the ball, expecting him to not even necessarily come back towards the ball, but, DJ and the defender really were step for step. But the defender did a better job looking back for the ball and then getting in position as Caleb had already been throwing it to where he expected DJ Moore to be. But I don't want to kill DJ Moore for this at all either. There will be some questioning as far as, one move that's, certainly a move that could end up happening for the Bears is it is certainly possible that the Bears trade DJ Moore this offseason. But I do want to give him a lot of credit, though. DJ Moore has been a huge part of a lot of these late game comebacks in recent weeks, especially the weeks against the Packers, making some key catches in late time moments, game winning catches. So and even tonight, DJ Moore had some insane catches. He's a great receiver, but just based off of sort of contract situation, the amount of weapons and especially younger weapons that the Bears offense seems to have now. And also at times, especially earlier in the season, it did feel like there was maybe a little bit of a rift between DJ and Caleb. Thankfully, as we got into the late parts of the season into the playoffs, that mostly seemed to have been remedied. The two seem to have clicked a little bit better, but in the late situation, one of the last play on offense for the Bears this season. Uh, bit of a miscommunication there. Good play also by the defender. A ton of credit to him for the Rams. And Ben Johnson had said in his post-game press conference today that, he wants to go back and look at the tape. He was saying that, of course, from where he was at on the sideline, wasn't able to get the best look at the pass, but he said that he felt as the play was going on that he felt there was an opening. So he doesn't feel like he was saying he didn't feel like there was late game jitters or anything like that for Caleb. Didn't think Caleb even necessarily made a bad decision or necessarily a bad throw. Good play by the defender. Of course, it'll be interesting to see what Ben Johnson maybe says later when he's had time to go back and look at the film on it. But based off of everything that I've looked at and based off of Chris Collinsworth's analysis of it, I kind of tend to agree. I do think that interception, really a lot of interceptions, to be honest. I mean, that's how football goes. The the stat does go on the quarterback. Sometimes interceptions are very much just on the quarterback. Sometimes it's a mixture, and sometimes it's on the receiver. This one, I think it's a mixture of both. Again, Caleb could have done something better. It would have been nice to see. The Bears were approaching field goal range. They were in a longer yardage situation as far as the down marker, but um, would have liked to see the Bears play a little bit more safe there in Caleb. But it was certain it was a play that the Bears have made work in recent weeks. I do remember that very same play working in recent weeks. So I don't necessarily blame Caleb for throwing that pass the way he did. Just didn't really work out, unfortunately, of course. And then, setting up the defense in not the greatest position. And they just weren't able to get the stops necessary to keep the Rams out of field goal range. And so the Rams get the game winning field goal, win by 3 points. They go on to the Seahawks. I do think this NFC West matchup in Seattle for the NFC Championship is going to be a really interesting one. I'm curious to see what the spread is going to be for the game. I would imagine the Seahawks will certainly be favored. If I had to guess, maybe by probably around a field goal, maybe more. But I to me, regardless of if the Bears or the Rams had won this, I will say that Seahawks defense looks really good. And you know, odd trend, but the last two times that there has been a new pope elected for the Catholic Church, this is a weird coincidence, whatever you want to call it. The previous two times that there was a new pope, the Seahawks went on to have the number one overall seed and then win the Super Bowl that year. And so far, the Catholic Church elected a new pope this year. Seahawks were the number one overall seed, and now they are set to host the NFC Championship game at their stadium. And that Seahawks defense, that looks like to me looks like a championship caliber defense. And the saying, defenses win championships. Defense wins championships. I certainly think this defense has a chance to do that. Um, you know, uh, the Seahawks will, of course, have to contend this upcoming week with one of the best offenses in the league. But if they can do that, um, the Super Bowl certainly won't be easy. But you'll either be dealing with the Broncos, who will be on a backup quarterback, or you'll be dealing with the Patriots, who have a young quarterback in Drake May, who's only in his second season. You'll have a seasoned head coach, but not necessarily one that's experienced in the Super Bowl. So I do think we're in for some fun games. These two championship games this upcoming week, and whatever we get for the Super Bowl, I do think it'll be a great matchup. Obviously, I'm sad that the Bears no longer are in it, but you know, for a season where really the Bears were ahead of schedule, I'm happy with the journey that got the Bears here. Very impressed with what Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, Ryan Poles, the GM, and everybody else on that roster, coaching staff, have been able to accomplish for the Bears. Again, this year. The playoff win last week was the uh, first playoff win for the Chicago Bears in 15 years. First playoff appearance since 2020. So, this is a franchise that has been in the desert as far as playoff success and even making the playoffs pretty much my whole lifetime. So, uh, you know, very much. And coming into the season, this was a team that was the over under on their wins was, I believe, 9.5, 9.5, 8.5. And even for me, I had said coming into the season, I wasn't expecting more than 9 wins at best. And the Bears went on to win 11 and a playoff game, and keep it very close, even in some of the losses that they did have. Again, first year head coach in Ben Johnson, second season for Caleb Williams. Very young offensive roster, a defense that, again, the Bears didn't invest much in this defense roster wise. It's a very talented secondary, and does have some good pieces in the front seven. But again, I do expect in the draft and free agency, the main thing I do expect the Bears will invest in going into 2026. If I had to guess, it will be that front seven. Maybe some interior help, something to help. Again, these Bears DBs have been doing a great job at getting interceptions and covering, when the Bears in many weeks have struggled to get pressure on quarterbacks, especially mobile quarterbacks that are able to move around in the pocket. Um, without bringing a blitz, without bringing a corner blitz, like Dennis Allen did to some pretty good effect tonight. Without doing blitzes like that, this defense was not the greatest this year at getting pressure on the quarterback and getting to the quarterback. So I do expect that will be an area that the Bears will try to hone in on in the draft and in free agency. But um, regardless, I'm very happy with what this team accomplished. Sad that the journey is over, of course, but it ended in classic 2025 Bears fashion. Came down to the wire, uh, kept the heart racing. I've said it basically every week this season that I swear this team has knocked off a year of my life with each game, with the way they've gotten my heart rate going. Probably not good, but um, it's been a fun ride, and I think the future is bright. The potential for this team with Ben Johnson as the head coach, with Caleb Williams, uh, very talented young quarterback who is showing improvement. I mean, if you go back and I am going to be doing this in recent weeks just to reconfirm this, but if you go back to the film from and really just look at what this team did in 2024 versus this year in 2025, this team and Caleb Williams improved dramatically with Ben Johnson at the helm. And for Caleb Williams, a lot to improve on. And certainly one thing that you could criticize Caleb Williams for, including maybe on that last interception, is he has had some accuracy issues. I don't necessarily think the accuracy was the problem on that particular play, but there have been plenty of plays both tonight and throughout this season where accuracy has been a bit of an issue for Caleb Williams on certain types of throws. And he said that in his post-game press conference that that's going to be one of his focuses this year is improving on footwork and improving on his accuracy, and then working, tirelessly as much as he can with the receivers to get more on page and ready to start the season hot in 2026. So um, I think the future is bright. Now, of course, for any team, it's never guaranteed that you make it this far. Uh, Obviously, only 8 teams can make it this far to the divisional round. Um, you know, only so many teams can make it this far. Only 2 teams get to make it to the Super Bowl. Only one, only one team every year out of 32 gets to end off on a win. Every other team in the league out of 32 has to end their season on a loss. So um, for most, you don't end the season the way that you want, and that's true in any sport, of course. But yeah, so for the Bears, for a franchise that has been, just dying for a winning season, let alone a playoff appearance and a playoff win. This was a great season, and again, nothing's guaranteed. It'll be a different group. Who knows what things are going to change for the Bears, both on their staff, on their roster. There has been a lot of reporting of teams maybe wanting to come after some of the Bears coaching staff and try to hire them on. Does Dennis Allen stick around as the defensive coordinator? Do some of the Bears' offensive position coaches get jobs elsewhere? There'll be a lot of things like that will be needed to be sorted out this offseason. So success is not guaranteed. The Bears are not guaranteed to be the same or better in 2026. But overall, though, um, I'm optimistic for 2026 and just in the near future with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. I think this franchise finally, for the first time in my lifetime, has the right coach, and possibly for the first time in franchise history in over a century, I think this team has a great quarterback. I think Caleb Williams has a chance to be a standout quarterback back for a long time in the NFL. Um, again, he's got areas to grow, but for a lot of quarterbacks, they say the third year is kind of the year that things slow down a little bit. And quarterbacks are able to see what's going on a little bit better. And I mean, again, from how much Caleb improved from his rookie season to his second season, if he even takes even just a little bit more, of an improvement from a standpoint of reading the field and improving on things like accuracy. Um, yeah, it's pretty crazy to imagine what this Bears team, what the potential is with him at quarterback and with Ben Johnson as the head coach. Again, this franchise has not had a good offensive head coach and good quarterback basically ever, and certainly in my lifetime that has just not been a thing. So, I'm happy with this. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know this has been a bit of a longer video, but of course, as the Bears season, one of the best in my memory in my lifetime, comes to an end. Wanted to give a bit of an immediate uh, reactions and thought. Not at my best optimal recording setup necessarily, but I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on the video. Please hit subscribe. Both of those really do matter, do help. But of course, you watching to this far in the video, that's what helps the most. Do hope you enjoyed. I hope you will enjoy the rest of your this weekend. Enjoy the week, and I will see you in some more videos as we get headed into the championship weekend for the 2025 season for the NFL. Have a good one.